Hey there, this is Don the Idea Guy from dontheideaguy.com. It is Monday, November 14th, and this is episode 45 of Running Through My Mind, the only podcast broadcast from a parking lot. And you're getting this episode a little late today, aren't you? Also, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's a little chilly here in Columbus today, so I've got the car running with the heat on, so you might hear a little background noise. I'm not sure. It's the first time I've recorded in the car while it's running. Anyway, you're getting this episode a little late today because I was purposefully procrastinating on it. I went through my cup of coffee on the way to work, drinking my dark bean daydream from our sponsor Drip Joy. Went through a pot of that on the way to the office. Went through several pods during my workday, all because normally I record this in the morning, but I came to a decision last week. I mused on the concept last week, came to the decision finally over the weekend, and really just kind of put off recording it today because, just in case I changed my mind, right? Things happen during the day. But what I decided, what I want to talk about today is knowing when it's time to say goodbye. And some projects have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and some have a beginning and don't go much further, and then they end. And some things you start and then they drift off and you just never complete them. And that's always an odd piece. You don't feel like it came to a conclusion. It might pick at you for maybe years afterwards. I started Running Through My Mind as an experiment in another daily content creation exercise, right? We've talked about the fact that I do Big Yellow Sticky, which is a daily post, hand-drawn on a 3x3 yellow sticky note that I post in social media and on the website. I've been doing that for more than... Well, we're coming up on 2 years, actually, coming up on 2 years now. So, that is kind of a daily exercise that I see a ton of potential for and I want to maintain. Running Through My Mind as a podcast started as a proof of concept to say, if somebody wanted to do a podcast, it was as simple as hitting record in the parking lot on your phone and then publishing it. It did not need to be any more complex than that. And then I did it. And a few episodes in, I got a sponsor. And I've had formal beer storms where we sat around over beers and brainstorm ideas with podcasters who were even more established than I'll claim to be based on my limited number of episodes. In some cases, they've been doing it for years, or they were broadcasters for years and then went into podcasting. I'm a guy who just hit record and posted consistently. Monday through Friday, every day for what will be 50 episodes. I decided that at episode 50, I'm going to call this experiment done. And it's for a couple of reasons. One reason was I started this because I couldn't get a couple other people that had said they wanted to do podcasts together to pull the trigger and schedule time to record. That's changed. Two of the people I really wanted to record podcasts with have both said that they're in now. So I'm potentially going to be launching two additional shows, two new shows, two completely separate shows, either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. And I'm really excited about that. So I'm already going to be doing more podcasts. The other is, while I like this off-the-cuff format because I don't have to plan for it, I'm not planning for it, and that means sometimes the future marketability of this isn't going to be there. I don't know if I'm going to come back to this and every once in a while just hit record and record what's on my mind. Maybe I'll change the name of this podcast. I've picked up a few listeners during this experiment. Maybe I will relaunch under a new name. The other is, as I study podcasting more and I look at what some of the more successful podcasters have done, I never really did a full launch on this. I did not take advantage of the new and notable on iTunes. I'm not a huge iTunes fan. I find their desktop program clunky and slow at best. My strategy with podcasting is not going to have to do with getting the most listeners and selling those listeners off by the thousand. I want to get a core group of people who are rallied and united behind a topic, and certainly find sponsors that want to appeal to that group, but to be able to create programming that group will feel more passionate about. And by doing this show where it's just off the top of my head, I don't see the long-term benefit for listeners or for me. I've been doing Big Yellow Sticky for close to 2 years now, and I still haven't monetized that anywhere near the potential I think that could be. And that is a solid project. That's a solid product and content that's being produced. This is off the top of my head. I'm flying by the seat of my pants just to get the top and bottom. Ha ha ha. So this is episode 45. I'm going to do essentially 5 more episodes, which means we'll end on episode 50, which will be next Monday. The other reason I picked 50 is I'm going to turn 50 in a few weeks. The first week of December, I will hit that milestone in my life, so I'm going to be happy to kind of hit 50 episodes and then move on to the next project. I thought about pacing these out to do the 50th episode on my 50th birthday, but I'm going to be busy that week, so it's not going to work for that. Who knows? Maybe I'll launch the new episode by then. And I'm not going to delete these. These are going to stay out there. I think there was some good information mixed in with the babbling. I think that I may just open the mic again and do some. I've seen Jason Zook do that with some of his podcasts. I love what Chris Brogan does with his. As a matter of fact, he's getting ready to end another one of his podcasts, and he's done this in the past, I think, with at least one other podcast. And on that one, he's going to end on episode 100. And, if, a guy who's created an audience like Chris Brogan, it will take him no time to create a new audience for his other podcast. Who knows how long it'll take me to create mine. Also, I don't know if the next audience, the next content topic will match with this audience. We'll see. So I may not just rebrand. I'm still kind of playing around with that. See why I waited till the end of the day to talk about this? Because a lot of the pieces have not gelled on this yet, but I think I know what I am drawing the line is on this one is the podcast will officially be over on episode 50. I appreciate you guys sticking with me through the experiment. I picked up a couple of friends and fans along the way, and maybe a couple consulting clients as well. It's been a blast, and I'm still going to be here for another 5 episodes, so I hope you'll stay tuned. Maybe I'll have more details as I go through. And if you guys are listening out in the darkness and just haven't sounded off about, loving or hating the podcast, now's your chance. I'm not opposed to continuing the episodes if enough people speak up. I don't know how big the audience is to begin with. Podcast statistics are unreliable at best. And who knows how many people are actually listening to the show, because how many people download it doesn't equal to how many people listen to it, and how many listen to it doesn't equate to how many people listen to the whole thing or liked it. I know that I've not been able, at least in the 44 episodes that have come before, to rally many people behind leaving comments. I've had 2 or 3 people leave comments reliably, contact me on a consistent basis to talk about things in the show. But it's just not something I can keep going for 3 vocal people. So we'll see what happens. But this has been a great experiment. Let this stand as proof that anybody can launch a podcast in a day, if not hours, and you don't have an excuse not to do it. You just don't have the excuse not to do it. It's too easy. The tools are there, and they're free or cheap. And if you really want to do something, you can do it. I think that's going to be it for today. Like I said, this is I'm recording this in the evening, still in the parking lot, still in my car. I want to stay true to that, but I will post this as soon as I get home and back hooked up with my home Wi-Fi. That is it for today. Thanks for sticking with me. Let me know. You think the decision's sound? Do you think it sucks? Will you be sad to see it go? Are you surprised it lasted this long? Brew yourself a cup of our sponsor's coffee, Drip Joy. You can find out more details on the Drip Joy brews by going to dontheideaguy.com/dripjoy. They will go down in history as being the one and only sponsor of the Running Through My Mind podcast. Let's stir up some interest in them in the last few days here, so that if we do launch another podcast together, they'll come right on board as a sponsor. That's it for today. Let me know what you're going to start as an experiment. Let me know what you're going to do just to see if it can be done. And we'll talk again tomorrow. Bye-bye.